Yo, what's poppin'? All my peeps. It is I, your host with the most renaissance man who always thinks he can, and champion of the peeps, Patty Pitts, here for another edition, another episode of the Raw Rewind presented to you by Pitts and Sara's Wrestling Show. And obviously, you cannot have Pitts and Sara's Wrestling Show without the best of the West. You can't forget about Sara Marshall. Sara, what's poppin', girl?
Hey, yo.
Hey, yo.
Hey, yo.
I haven't watched enough Scott Hall and WO stuff lately. I need to.
There was a time where I was watching any sort of wrestling, whether it was a compilation on YouTube, one of my reruns or pay-per-views, or a TNA, because I got really into the TNA. And Scott Hall was appearing in every single one of them. It was bizarre.
Yeah, we don't like the TNA stuff.
Was getting in there.
Yeah, I haven't watched it, but I might have to go watch the clip from that I use for that my hello, because that's one of my favorite promos of his, because he looks really good.
So ravishing.
Oh yeah. So anyway,
Bernard says what's up, and
what's up?
His comment. Actually, I'll save it because we want to have that comment be when we talk about stuff, and the stuff being what happened on Raw. What happened on Raw, Sara? It was one of the best. I'm going a little ahead of myself. It was an unbelievable Raw. I thought it was fantastic.
I don't know if I would say unbelievable, but it was a good Raw.
Fantastic. I thought it was a very good. It just was solid. I don't know, when I watch it, you can see they're ushering in a new era. I think that's why I loved it.
You
so
say
much.
this every week. You say this every week
because it just gets building and building.
It's a new era. It's a new era. It's like we're just like loving this new Papa H era, you know?
But how different is it from like 3 months ago, even with the Bloodline opening the show every week? Yes, it was different, but now
the Bloodline's going to be opening SmackDown probably every week now.
Maybe not.
Maybe not. But did you see Roman posted his schedule? Well, WWE posted Roman's schedule. You sent it to me, and I'd seen it before that.
Yeah.
So he's not taking significant time off between now and SummerSlam like it was rumored to be, which is nice. So the only thing I noticed is that he either will like skip one SmackDown in between, or there's like 1 or 2 times where he misses 2 SmackDowns, which I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, it's nice that we now know for sure when he's going to be there, because otherwise, I mean, the fact that they had to continuously hype up his return to SmackDown, I thought was ridiculous. So at least now we know. It's just, I hope that we can kind of, I don't know, that they come up with some way to make it not feel like he's missing now that we're getting into this new phase of the Bloodline storyline. I'm just hoping that it's not going to be very obvious that Roman's not there, because it's like he's at the center of all of this. So if he's going to be gone, it's like going to be interesting to see how they can kind of fill that space, because what?
Keep going.
Oh, I was just going to say, like, this is a really interesting storyline, and now that we're at the beginning of it, I just don't want it to be like, I don't want to sit here and complain about Roman being gone and the storyline feeling flat, and it's because he needed to have 2 weeks off, you know, like
the schedule also included house shows.
2. I know.
And that's another thing added to the storyline. You know, when a guy like Roman Reigns goes to a house show. I went to one in Boston. Live event, not your SmackDown or Raw, whatever, like a live event. And he was there. It was not because I was there. Take away the kayfabe, okay, for a second. He was there because it was Boston. So to these cities, they have to mean something for him to be there, is what my point is. Which is awesome that they're bringing that lore back to the sport.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, because then we also saw that he will be at Money in the Bank. So that's going to be interesting to see what his match will be. You
champ
know?
prediction here. I think it's going to be
Okay,
Jay and Jimmy versus Roman and
I don't
Solo.
know. I don't know. That's quite a ways away, so I'm just not
It
sure.
is
I mean,
ways
that's a
away.
whole month of them. I don't know. We'll see. But let's just get into Raw because we could
Okay,
sit here and ramble
we can just start royal
forever.
rambling here.
Yeah. So first, since we didn't get to talk about Night of Champions, we can kind of just go over it as it correlates to Raw, of course. So Seth Rollins versus AJ Styles. And Seth Rollins is now crowned the first ever World Heavyweight Champion because it does have its own lineage. No, it has its own lineage. It's a brand new championship. It is not connected to the old World Heavyweight
I
title.
thought it was connected. That's what
Nope.
they were
It's not.
saying. Then
Nope.
why make the belt with the 60? I don't know. Whatever. Continue. I
Yeah,
could go on about this, but
not connected. So he is the first ever World Heavyweight Champion. Match was I feel like there's not a whole lot to say about the match at Night of Champions. It was top tier. It was exactly what we expected. It was amazing. It was great.
yeah,
I mean, we got exactly what we wanted, except that it was the opening match. That's the only complaint I could really say is that I didn't love it being the opening match simply because I just felt like it's not playing into trying to build it up to feel important. But obviously, given how the bloodline ended, I
yeah.
understand maybe why, but I still wish it would have been further up. But
Do you think they could have swapped Cody and Brock quick, rapid fire?
maybe. I mean, especially because that's how it was going to end with Cody, the way it ended. I mean, I feel like maybe, I don't know, maybe it just didn't need to be the opening match. I don't know. That's a
Fair,
conversation for
fair.
another day. So that was exciting, and then he comes out on Raw to celebrate his new championship reign, but it was interrupted by AJ Styles, which I thought this was kind of a weird segment, if I'm being honest. And because usually when this happens, first of all, AJ Styles is on SmackDown, but so that was kind of weird because it was like, what are you doing here? This is Raw. They just had the draft. You're supposed to be on SmackDown, sir. But usually when someone comes out to interrupt someone's celebration, especially, it's like, oh, okay, what are you gonna do? Or like with what AJ was doing was like, I just wanted to congratulate you. I was like, oh, what is he gonna do? Because then it follows it up with like, I'm gonna beat your ass, or like I'm gonna cheap
Yeah.
shot you. So I was waiting for something to happen because that's historically what happens in these situations. So I felt like it was kind of random. And then with Judgment Day coming out, it just felt very kind of forced to me. It was like, oh, we really want it to be Seth and AJ versus Judgment Day, so we're gonna have AJ come out and be like, congratulations, like you just knew what I was gonna do before I even did it, blah 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 blah. And then it was like Judgment Day, and it was like, okay, I don't know.
Yeah,
I felt like it was just kind of weird.
I understood it, so that's why I didn't think it was that weird.
Mm-hmm.
So the whole purpose, I mean, if you notice that they were wearing their same tights in the main event, they're
Oh
wearing
yeah,
their same
no,
everything.
everybody was like in their same gear almost
So
for
they're trying to
yeah
connect like a little bit of a finale of Night of Champions to head into
yeah
the next stage of feuds.
yeah
And to bring AJ back, it was just like, I mean, the first night of Seth Rollins. What a better way to kick it off than he's not going to defend it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I
So
thought he was. The way he was talking, I was like, oh, he's setting up like he's ready to defend it right now. Especially because he's been trying to say, like, I'm
yeah,
going to be the defending champion, blah, blah, blah. I was like, he's gonna defend it. And then
yeah.
AJ coming out, I was like, is he gonna ask for a rematch? But that doesn't make sense.
No,
But
I don't know what Triple H, they're being smart. So by doing that, you could obviously have these guys feud and go the easy route, but to have them kind of be allies right now, especially because they kind of both have problems with the Judgment Day. Judgment Day kind of has problems with everybody right now. So like, and you want to build up Judgment Day to make them now when I say the bloodline, I mean the dominant faction
yeah.
that's all over programming.
Mm-hmm.
And the best way you do that is kick it off with them and Seth Rollins. I loved it. I thought it was a
Yeah.
very smart move.
Well, and it's only I would assume it's only gonna be for Raw. Like I don't think we're gonna see AJ again next week. But
No,
I
that
just
was
tried to
AJ was
I
guest star.
I just tried to fix my glasses and my glasses weren't on my face, just so you know.
Hey, rewind. and do that again then.
No, let's not do that again.
No.
Anyway,
Play on
so
title.
Judgment Day comes out and basically just mocks their little back and forth admiration for each other, which is exactly what I would have done, because I'd be like, what the hell is going on here? Like, this makes no sense. This is weird. What are we doing? So I just love Finn Balor. I'm sorry. I just can't.
Heel Finn's awesome. Heel
Finn is the best Finn. And I'm mad at them for taking so long to do it, honestly, because he's thriving. Like, I don't know. But so they end up challenging them to a match for the main event, which ends up happening. So it's Seth Rollins and AJ Styles versus Judgment Day. And at first they make it seem like, oh, it was going to be Damian Priest and Dominic, which I love how they were just like making fun of Dominic before.
Dominic is the most over heel in WWE right now. You can't tell me different.
It's insane. It's insane. And I remember I was watching it. My sister was kind of like peering over my shoulder, and she was like, did they like bring in like fake crowd noise? Like, is that fake boos? I was like, no, that's just like how hated he is right now. So, Dominic is, So, it ended up being Priest and Balor, of course. And so, it was a good match. I don't know. I felt like there was so much going on in this match. It was just action the entire time, which I love. And you expect it based on who was in the match. I mean, it's like a dream scenario, if we're being honest, because
that could have been a pay-per-view.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
We got like great. It was awesome.
Yeah. And what I loved the most was that moment with Rhea and Seth. Because have you seen that it was a recreation of Shawn Michaels with Melina? So if you guys haven't seen that, you can probably find it on Twitter. I don't think WWE posted it, but the moment when Seth came out and like put his arm around Rhea, and Rhea's just like, yeah, and then notices that it's Seth. That's a recreation of something that HBK did with Melina. So I loved that, because I was like, whoa, what's going on? Like, that was
do you remember that match? Like, who was in it?
No.
Okay, it was DX, the Hardys, and CM Punk.
Oh, Jesus.
Versus Rated RKO, Eminem, and somebody else.
Oh my gosh. What a time.
That's Survivor Series. That's Survivor Series, baby.
That's crazy.
That's unbelievable.
So obviously Styles and Rollins win. That's how the show ends, which was great. It was a good match. It was entertaining. It was amazing. Great
way to end the show. Agreed.
Yeah, I mean, I still think that they need to like let Judgment Day win some more matches, but it is what it is. I guess at this point, they wanted everyone to go home happy on Raw. Didn't want the new champ to lose on his first night as champion. So I was fine with that. That is okay. Do we want to get to comments? I just see there's a bunch. I don't know what they say, but I just see there's a bunch.
That I will take over.
Okay. Yeah, you can do that.
Because whatever. So, he starts by Kingdom of Razor. Needs our help.
Okay.
What is some advice you give to follow the sport? Do you need to collect cards? All right, this is actually a great way to connect it into wrestling too. So, great question. Take basketball. Just go on YouTube and search whatever. Honestly, just go like whatever you want to watch or whatever you're trying to, look at. Just type it in YouTube. You'll see a video, a compilation. I mean, when I was playing basketball as a kid, I watched hours and hours of Magic Johnson highlights because I was a point guard and I wanted to pass better. So that's one example.
Well, and I think the easiest way to pick a team is probably where you live.
Where you live.
It's the easiest way because you're going to be able to get merch. You're going to be able to see their games because they're going to be local. And if that's not your thing, then if you want to pick like a winning team, then you want to look at probably. Yeah, you can just look at like the rankings. So like the Nuggets were the best team in the West. I wouldn't necessarily just say go jump on that bandwagon because it could be just a random thing. But like, there's like the Warriors, or you could go with the Lakers, the Celtics. Like, but I don't think that you necessarily need to collect. What?
Be a Pistons fan. They need fans.
No. Well, yeah, but only if you're like in Detroit. I would never tell someone to go be a Pistons fan if they could pick any of the teams.
I would
Absolutely
tell them to
not.
be a Lions fan. Hashtag one pride, baby.
Okay. Anyway, but no, I don't think you need the cards. I think you just need to like decide how you want to pick your team. If that's local, then do that because it's easiest, or jump on the bandwagon of some team. Maybe even I would just recommend not jumping on the Heat bandwagon. I would not tell you to do that.
Do y'all see a member of Judgment Day be Seth feud? Yes. Would you rather Finn or
Finn?
We'd rather Finn.
I love me some Damian Priest, but Finn versus Seth is a banger after banger after banger. So
not right now.
No, I don't mean first.
Yeah.
You want it to be first?
I want Finn before Priest.
Oh,
I want Priest to develop a character a little bit.
Oh, I'm talking about Finn. I was just talking about Finn in general.
I agree with you.
Oh, okay.
What do you? Oh, we're gonna hide
we'll
that
get into
comment
that later.
Yeah, because I have so many, but so little thoughts about it. The new belt is to make the belt look like a world title, not a walking billboard. Hopefully, WWE can make a SmackDown belt a version of the Winged Eagle next. I thought they did a great job with this. You have to have your logo.
I like it. It's paying homage to the original World Heavyweight without, like you said, being like it's so in your face WWE. I don't know that we'll bring back the Winged Eagle because of it being on SmackDown, but it really depends because they're gonna probably end up having to get rid of the Universal. So if they're going to get rid of the Universal whenever Roman loses it, I would assume they're going to keep the WWE title because they're not going to retire it. And two, they're going to want at least one of them to look like a walking billboard. So, I mean, they use it to send it to like all of the winning teams. Like whoever wins the NBA finals is going to get a WWE championship specialized for them. So, it's the most identifiable thing out of like basically any of the championships that you can get in fighting sports. So.
Pitts, if you notice Seth Rollins' opening promo on Raw, it's basically Macho Man's cream of the crop promo, but it's replaced with "I'm the Visionary." I mean, yeah, there's a lot of wrestlers. You're gonna see them say, "Oh, I grew up watching this person," or the Hardys, or anyone in that Attitude Era, where when the generational talents, the ones who are like, "Oh, they get it," they studied the old tapes, they studied everything. So Seth being a student of the game, I could see him 1,000% studying a shit ton of Macho Man stuff. So I agree with that. I'm going to see if there's any that would make sense now until we can wait. We can wait on that one. He asked that already. Good advice by Entertainment. Thank you.
Thank you, Entertainment.
Love the compliments. Champ loves being complimented. It appears as but all right, so here we go. All right, what's the next segment? Sarah.
Will you get rid of the comment, please?
I sure can. There we go.
Okay,
so what's next?
The Money in the Bank qualifying matches. So
the money.
We started with The Miz versus Ricochet, which I'm all for, but I feel like the only downfall to this was that it was very obvious who was going to win this match, and that was Ricochet, which again I'm fine with because I kind of feel like, how do you have a ladder match and you don't have Ricochet in it?
You took the words out of my mouth. Like it's just peanut butter and jelly.
Yeah,
peanut butter and chocolate.
I mean, Ricochet, I remember that one match in NXT that was a ladder match, and I don't remember if it was for the North American Championship or whatever. Yeah, and Ricochet
before Mania.
So good. So yeah, I mean, it was a fine match, but you knew that The Miz was going to lose, which is great. He's at that point in his career where he is helping people get over, and I'm fine with it. Then we had Shinsuke Nakamura versus Bronson Reed, and this was not an obvious match to me, if you were asking me. When I saw that this was advertised, I thought Bronson was going to win. 100%. So it was a good match, obviously, because I think Bronson is not credited enough with like actually how good he is in the ring. And we are Bronson Reed fans on this show, so we hype him up like every single week. So I was a little bit shocked when I saw Nakamura win, just because I mean they've been pushing Bronson so much recently, basically since he returned, was rehired, I guess we should say, and Nakamura doesn't really need the Money in the Bank briefcase to like be put in the title picture. So that's why I was kind of surprised that they had him win. But, it is what it is, I guess.
I figure out it's Nakamura winning is more because international crowd. Yeah. Nakamura is so over globally.
Bronson's also not American.
Not
So
on the level that Nakamura is at. I know what
I
you mean, but
understand, but I just
yeah.
meant he's not American. So, but they have not. So they did announce 2 women's matches for next week. But before we get into that, who else do you want to see in these qualifying matches from Raw?
Honestly, I'd like to see Dom.
Yeah, I think we'll get Judgment Day members in them somehow.
I want to see Dom.
But how many are they putting in? Do they normally put in 6?
I want Gabe. Yeah, 6. I
Yeah,
want
okay.
Gable.
He
Like,
might.
you need Gable in that match. Chad Gable, we're gonna get to it. I know I keep getting ahead of myself, but god damn, he needs to be in those matches. Chad Gable should be in every big type of match that gets the crowd going. He is so charismatic.
Mm-hmm.
I'll wait to give my full thoughts, but that's a preview on how much I am all in on Chad Gable.
So yeah, I think I just want to see, for sure a member of the Judgment Day. Um, I wouldn't be mad about like JD McDonough, even though he's probably not going to win. I wouldn't be mad about it.
That'd be a good spot. I would like Gargano.
Yeah,
I
if
think
he's
Gargano
back.
would be cool.
Yeah, if he's back.
Yeah.
Well, he's not been on, is all I mean.
Um,
But the 2 women's matches that they announced, Becky Lynch versus Sonya Deville and Natalya versus Zoe Stark. So Natalya versus Zoe Stark, obviously Zoe's going to win. Becky versus Sonya, though, I don't think it's that obvious. Like on paper, it's like Becky's gonna win, but Becky doesn't need to be in the Money in the Bank match. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm like, they've been putting Sonya on TV every single week since she joined forces with Chelsea. So I wouldn't be surprised if Sonya was in there. You know,
I would
like
agree. Everything you're saying, I agree with. I could see.
yeah. So I wouldn't be mad if Becky won, but I just don't think that she needs it necessarily. And when I think about Money in the Bank matches, I think about people that need to be projected forward or whatever, propelled forward, whatever the word is. And Becky doesn't need to be in a match to put her in the title picture because she's always in the title picture no matter what.
What's going to happen is Becky's going to lose by Trish Stratus and Zoe Stark.
Oh, that's right.
That will elongate their feud heading into Money in the Bank. Match 2, match 3 at SummerSlam. So that's my thoughts on that one easily. And Sonya Deville, she deserves some flowers, honestly. I think she's a fantastic heel.
Yeah, I like her and Chelsea together so much. I really do. I think they work so well together. We'll get into it. I don't want to talk about it yet. Yeah, so since we were just talking about Becky, let's talk about Becky versus Trish at Night of Champions. I feel like people are kind of not respecting this match as much as I feel like they should. Because I feel like it was a pretty good match and it was mostly good by both of them, except for the few mishaps by Trish. But like, I can't hold those types of moments against her because she is not an active wrestler on the roster. She's 47 years old. She hasn't wrestled a solos match in 4 years. Like I can't sit there and be like botch, ha. Like I can't do that. I mean, I know that Trish is like, she's my favorite women's wrestler of all time, but like I can't hold that against her because it would be different if it was like Becky who did that, where Becky's wrestling every single week, and if she just like mess up hardcore like multiple times, then I'd be like, oh, that was tough. But this is Trish Stratus we're talking about. Like,
no, I agree. It's Trish. She had 1 or 2 moves. I was like, that's tough.
Yeah,
because it was tough. I calls them how I see them.
Yeah,
but I mean, you're not gonna get a 5-star instant classic out of this. This is more about the story and more about, the metaphorical passing of the torch, essentially.
Yeah.
And then you throw another variable in there with Zoe Stark, which is like, oh, that's like the real torch passing.
Yeah.
Like that's the, little, got to go deeper in the layer dip there. So the whole match itself, I thought served a purpose, was pretty good, pretty entertaining. Mm-hmm. And then last night gave us even more substance to it, where you're like, oh, this is not a one and done. They're gonna keep this going. And with the reports of Trish being on Monday Night Raw a lot more, maybe not weekly, but at least,
well, and she doesn't have to be now that Zoe's in it.
But she is. So that's huge.
No, So the Night of Champions match finished exactly how we predicted it, basically. I even had someone comment on that prediction video that I posted being like, not her calling the under the ring moment. And I was like, yes, I did. It wasn't Zoe. I never would have guessed Zoe being in it, but I did say that someone was going to be under the ring. I thought it was Lita, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
I'm fine with it being Zoe. Zoe still freaks me out a little bit, like her finisher move. I mean, the first time she did it, Becky, I thought she broke her nose. That's why she was all bloody. I was like, girl, you really broke Becky's nose. And I was like, if that happened, it was going to be such a weird thing, since Trish was like, I didn't have to break my nose to be the star. And then Becky's nose is broken, but thankfully her nose is fine.
Yeah,
so
she's good.
I feel like after seeing that, and then her back on Raw in the ring talking on the mic with Trish, this is a huge sign of how they feel about Zoe, because she's been on the roster on Raw for like a month, has had one match, and just have backstage segments that were just kind of like, what are we doing here? And they then immediately throw her into the middle of a feud with Becky, who's the top girl on Raw, other than Rhea, and Trish Stratus. Like,
who is the top girl?
If that's not an indication of how they feel, then I don't know what is. But they had a good moment. Trish comes out and starts mocking Becky for losing, says, I told you so. Zoe comes out and says that she just wanted to make an immediate statement since joining Raw. And there was no better way to do that than joining forces with Trish and going against Becky, basically what we just said. And she made sure to say, thank you, Trish. So I feel like I want one of those shirts. Like, I feel like I want one.
I thought about it. I'm not going to do it.
I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about it because I just got paid and I did pretty well last month on my article. So I'm like, I feel like I might need to indulge in some WWE shirts. So
yeah, you got to get some merch there. I'm like,
I know. I think I need a Pretty Deadly shirt.
I had half my wrestling wardrobe thrown away after college because my mom thought that it was just a fad.
Oh, I donated a lot of mine.
Well, yeah, that's what I mean. Throw away, donate.
Yeah, I donated a lot of my older ones because they were stuff that I bought in the moment, but then I like never wore them. So I was like, I don't know why I still have this, but these would be ones that I would wear at least on the stream. So it feels like necessary, you know?
What's the weirdest wrestling shirt you ever bought? Go quick.
The weirdest one?
Yes, I know my answer. What's yours?
I don't think I've bought a weird one.
I'm like weird as in like you bought his or you bought her shirt. That type of weird.
I don't think I've bought any weird ones though. Like I wasn't someone who always bought a lot of shirts because I told you about the fabric. Like I couldn't wear a lot of them. So I mean I've bought Finn's, Cena's, Dolph,
all great.
NWO.
Makes sense.
Like those are like the ones that I've bought basically.
I bought a Ryback shirt at Hot
Okay,
that's kind of where I'm leading.
All right. Okay. Yeah, we need to move on because that's embarrassing. So Becky comes out and demands a match. She attacks Trish, but they get the best of her and they beat her up, and then they leave her in the ring with the thank you Trish shirt on. So I am so here for this. I am very excited to see how it goes. And I like that they brought in Zoe because, like you were saying, like if Trish isn't there every single week, then this gives Becky somebody to deal with. And it's not like keeping her off TV or having her feud with a camera, basically, like we've complained about several times. Should we get to the comments every time or should I just keep?
There's just so many, Sarah, now, and we thank you, but like let us know what the protocol is.
You want me?
No, I mean just like there's so many. Let's just go.
I'm looking at them because I'm trying to see which ones would make sense for what we were just talking about.
That's what I'm trying to figure out too.
No,
Richard had a really good one.
We can get back to them because all of these are not ones about what we're talking about yet. So we'll just come back.
They're not. So yeah, we'll wait.
We'll get back. Okay. Then we had Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. They finally took down the Bloodline.
Best segment of the night.
Night of Champions. Obviously we'll get into the Night of Champions stuff later when we talk about SmackDown, because the bloodline falling apart. So the things that I have to say about Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, at least from Night of Champions. Sami's entrance, amazing. I loved his outfit. I love that he was able to just like completely embody everything that is about him and his religion and just himself. I absolutely loved it. Like, just amazing. The fact that he was able to speak, I believe it was Arabic. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it was Arabic. Yeah, I was obsessed. I was just like, I can't be more in love with anybody right now than Sami Zayn, because I don't know. He just seems like a very lovable person, and I just love him.
He's the most wholesome wrestler. He's just wholesome.
Yeah, it was great. And the reaction to him is insane. It's kind of funny, like, not even just in Saudi, just in general. Like, every time that they come out, it's like they always have Kevin come out first because they know that Sami is going to get an insane reaction. And you kind of feel bad in a way for Kevin, because then he has to just like stand there and just like listen to everybody like go crazy for Sami. But I was glad, at least last night on Raw, that they did chant like KO when he was like having a meltdown, which we'll get into.
Oh, that was just that. I'll save my words for that, because that was that best segment of the night. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. So obviously the match at Night of Champions was great, and it was nice to see what I would say was the end of their feud with the Bloodline. So I'm totally good with it. I loved it. So they came out on Raw to celebrate finally ending the Bloodline, which was their main goal, and they're just excited, blah, 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 blah. Then my boys interrupt them, Imperium.
Yeah, rude.
It was amazing.
There was no signal, Sarah.
It was amazing.
It was not warranted.
It was exactly what I wanted. Remember, I was saying, I was like, who are they going to feud with next? I really want to see them feud with Imperium. I would really love it. So
you're just a shock collar, really.
Yeah, I know. So they came out and they were just like, I don't know, they were going back and forth, but Kevin had a meltdown, basically, just being like, why are you out here? Why did you come out here? We didn't even talk about you. And you interrupt us. You're not supposed to come out unless we talk about you. We didn't even say your name. Why are you out here? Are you psycho? And I was like, oh my God, what is happening? And I was Sami. I was like, calm down.
I loved it.
Like,
I was the hype man of KO in the basement here. I was just like, let's go, Kevin. Let it out.
I was just like, what is happening? So they mocked Imperium, basically mocking Vinci, calling him Baldy for not talking.
He doesn't talk, Sarah.
And calling Kai Ludwig Slenderman. But I think that he called him Slenderman.
He called him Slenderman, and then they had a little bit of a back and forth about it.
Yeah, but it sounded like he said Slenderman. I don't know. And they kind of wanted to have a match with the tag team champions, but they were like, well, you already have a match with Alpha Academy, so like, what are you doing? And he actually called him American Alpha. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Sami called him American Alpha. And I was like, I see where your mind is. So obviously it was a great match, entertaining. Imperium is in the match, so I'm thankful. And Alpha Academy, they're great. I mean, I don't know what else to say.
We're not gonna get. You gotta talk about how Alpha Academy came out.
Oh, I don't care though. Who cares?
Why? It was so good when they're going back and forth, and then you just hear shoosh.
Yeah, for like way too long.
No, don't you? Chad Gable deserves all the camera time in the world. And then to have them come out with a united team of Maxine Dupree and Otis.
I know. I like that move,
Great
honestly.
Move.
Because there was no point in trying to break them up. And they've had the Maximum Male models like separated completely from Maxine recently. So it didn't make any sense to keep trying to go with that, being like, oh, we're trying to recruit Otis. It's like, you're not even having Mansois or Masse on TV. Yeah. So it didn't make any sense. So they had a match, and it was a good match, like I said, and I have to celebrate, guys, because Imperium won.
But who got the pin? Who got the pin, Sarah?
My boy Giovanni Vinci.
Giovanni Vinci.
I was so excited.
Hit the banner.
What?
You didn't hit the banner.
Oh, sorry. I forgot that I have so many. I was very excited about this. I was sitting there like happy clapping, as I do. I was just like, oh my God, I couldn't believe it. I was like yelling to the people who were around me. I was like, oh my God, you guys, Imperium won and it was Vinci. I was just yelling because, it's a big deal to me.
That
But I was very
move is
excited.
insane.
I know that it was just like, Alpha Academy, but I felt like it was a move in the right direction as far as using Imperium and allowing them to win. And thank God they let Vinci be the one to win, because you can't just make it look like he's the bad one in the group,
Dude, I love their
So
finishing move.
the Imperial Bomb, I
The
know,
Imperial Bomb is awesome.
I know. So
Like
I loved it.
Swiss swing uppercut
It's
into a
it's
nice
amazing.
little electric chair back. Oh,
Well, and this is what I'm saying is like
oh.
they're a legitimate tag team, just like Alpha Academy. So why aren't you using them more? And like, why are you making them look bad by having them continuously lose? Like, they're really good. And it's like, if you're not going to use them, then let them go back to like NXT UK or something. You know what I mean? Like, I know it doesn't exist, but I'm just saying, like, let them go and do something else, because.
NXT Global. Soon.
So then, including Imperium, Triple H majorly disappointed us. And I don't even want to listen to what you have to say about these, but I
Yes.
have to.
No, you have to. When the champ speaks, listen, Sarah.
So we see, no, because you're not going to convince me. So we see Riddle being interviewed talking about Money in the Bank, which I thought was really weird, because he's like talking about winning Money in the Bank, but we haven't even heard about him being in a qualifying match. So I thought that was just kind of weird. I was just like, because why are you talking about it? And obviously the bro thing is not going anywhere, which you were wrong about. And then Gunther just comes out of nowhere because, what did gorgeous men do in the back? They just like peer around and just show up. And so he was just like, oh, I wish you luck on winning Money in the Bank and trying to cash in on me, because it would be really fun to beat you and humiliate you. And then he just walks away, and then Riddle's just like,
He's pondering the thoughts.
And I'm just like, what is going on? So basically, without getting too much into how I really feel, I absolutely hate this. I absolutely hate the idea of Gunther versus Matt Riddle. I hate it. I hate everything about it. There's not a single thing that you can say to convince me otherwise. So.
Okay, well, I'm addressing the peeps now. Okay, the peeps.
Okay, but they don't all agree with you.
You don't know that yet. I have not.
You don't know that they don't agree with me.
That's why I'm saying my piece, because you said yours.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to say my thoughts here in the Art of Streams. So,
okay.
I totally am with that it is not the nicest or most favorite feud that Gunther could have with someone right now. However, Riddle has came back, and they're making him more into the MMA, the workout bro, instead of a stoner bro. That's kind of what they're going to keep bro, but it's going to have just like a different connotation to it. Like, what's up, bro? Like the gym type of bro vibe. Sounds ridiculous, but you know what I mean. So because they're doing that, you got to put him somewhere where he can just showcase that, where he can just like showcase fighting in his style. I mean, they did it in that what was it, that cage match with Seth? I don't know what it's called.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I
always. Yeah,
but they did it there, and we saw a different side of Riddle. We did. I was very impressed with what I saw there, and I said, why don't they go more in that direction with them? Looks like they're going to now with Gunther, and the whole purpose of that interaction was, it was rumored. Okay, the people who are writing the show know what's being said online. Okay, they may or may not have leaked it for their own purposes. We don't know that, but the point is they know at least something. So just steer into the skid. Be wise. Just go into, have him come in, and then play that off factor to people who live under a rock. They're gonna go, oh, Gunther now Riddle's like, oh, Gunther is challenging Riddle, whatever they think, doesn't matter. So Gunther going up to Riddle and saying that, I can't wait to embarrass you. I can't wait to do this, because he is at the, like, Gunther's gonna win the feud, whatever, because you need to have him beat the Honky Tonk Man. But with this, you're gonna see Riddle grow out of this like stoner, what's up, bro, all this, and you're gonna see like the anger, like that kind of vicious side we saw him have a little bit when feuding with Seth. So it's all to get that out of Riddle so that he can go into being that instead of the 420 sidekick of the Legend Killer and just sidekick to every big name.
But they had that opportunity when he was teaming up with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn against the Bloodline, and that's not what we saw. We saw like a little bit more of a serious thing, but not
Yeah, you get
completely.
small doses because you
I
still
know,
need to
but
have that
I'm
comedic
I'm just
factor of Riddle with him.
I'm just disagreeing with you. I don't
I
think that
know.
that's what
Still,
I don't think that's what they're gonna do. So anyway, you know, I don't. It's whatever. I'm not on board with it, and it just makes me like Gunther even more. So
there you go. They did their job.
I mean, the one thing I do love is that this is the type of dude that Gunther would want to beat his ass. You know what I mean? Like when he talks about like, oh, you guys are an embarrassment to the division, you're this and you're that, you're an embarrassment to wrestling. That I feel like, yeah, he would say that to Riddle. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so that in that aspect, it's fine as long as he wins and they don't make him look like a wimp. Because if you want, I didn't mention it about his match at Night of Champions because hello, we knew what was going to happen. I don't want that same thing to happen where you can kind of tell where they're like asked Gunther to kind of slow down because that was fairly obvious in my opinion to him against Ali, where they were asking him to just kind of like slow your roll, like no, don't do everything that you normally do. Like this is a much smaller guy, blah blah blah. I don't want them to be like that either. So
Yeah, they won't do that.
and I kind of got the chop to the chest off the rope. I got that a little bit. It was like not exactly the same, but he had a big old handprint on his chest, Mr.
That
Ali.
hurt. That looked like it hurt badly. Badly.
Yeah. So then we had the women's 4-way tag team championship match, which was just an ultimate disappointment. I mean, I can't, you know.
Okay.
Unfortunately, we knew exactly how this was going to end, and I'm just, you know, the only good thing I could say is that I felt like every team was showcased. I felt like every girl had their chance to do something in this match, which I thought was cool. So, I mean, I can't tell you I really paid that much attention to what like Ronda and Shayna were doing, but I noticed
what they're doing.
Yeah, but I just noticed that like every girl had a moment. Like they all had their fair share. So I did like that. So we know that Ronda and Shayna won. And first of all, I mean, I don't really understand the reason behind it because I mean they literally just both came back, so it just doesn't really make any sense. And I feel bad for Raquel because like this is the second time that she lost the tag titles, and you know, it's just it sucks. But then I also don't really understand why Ronda insists on continuing to like piss off the fans and her coworkers by the shit she says online and stuff. Like I don't understand that either. So
she wants the division to improve. Sarah,
well, that's great, but like you're talking shit about your coworkers who know how to wrestle when you don't. Like, what are you talking about? Like, I would watch a Shotzi match, bitch, over you constantly, over and over again.
Binge Shotzi.
That's what I mean. So it's like it to me. It's just like frustrating because like trying to irritate the fans, whatever. Or like you can try and be like, oh, she's just in character. She's just doing what they do. But when she says things that is like disrespectful to the people that she's working with, that's when I'm like, what are you doing? Because they could very easily come out here and roast the shit out of you, and they don't. But
it's kind of that Goldberg effect in the women's division, where it's not that Goldberg didn't respect the business. Ronda absolutely disrespects it more than he did.
Yeah.
But it's just more that fact where like I can legitimately beat you up, but I have to make you look good. And they just can't get that psychology out because they've been trained for so long in a fight to win. And it's getting that out. Like the fact that Brock Lesnar can do what he does now is remarkable. So Ronda, it's still taking time and she's not getting it. And it's just it's annoying to watch every week.
Well, yeah, because like you wanted to go to WWE because you still wanted to be relevant. You still wanted to be famous. You still wanted people to talk about you. You still wanted to be on TV. You still wanted to be active and doing something. So it's just weird to me because I don't understand the mindset in it, and not to mention how many times has she said things and then been like called out about it, and like she just keeps doing it. So to me that just tells you exactly what she is and what she thinks of the business, and that's why it's like very odd to me that they then keep rewarding her. Like she doesn't even respect what she's doing, but whatever. But then we also did get a hype reel, so we were talking I don't know if it was last week or the week before, about where are Kaden and Katana? So we finally got a hype reel promoting them, which I wouldn't be surprised if they might be the first challengers to Ronda and Shayna, just because they are a legitimate tag team. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they get like a, maybe they get a rematch with like Raquel and Shotzi, just because Raquel was the tag team champion and they kind of messed with her 2 weeks ago. So I wouldn't be surprised if there's something that happens there first. But I wouldn't be mad about them going after the tag titles first. I don't think they have a shot, but at least we know that they're going to be debuting soon. And I thought it was interesting that we got a Candice LeRae hype reel too.
Loved it. I
liked it too, but it was just kind of random, only because like she's been around for a while, but I felt like it was needed.
It was needed because a lot of the fans now did not watch that era of NXT, and if they did, they caught the tail end of it, so they just know her as Johnny Gargano's wife.
Yeah.
They don't know her as Candice LeRae, the badass wrestler who can put on 5-star matches, in the black and gold era. So like, it's nice to see them establishing her as a face and establishing her that she's, on the way. And these are different.
Was that a pun?
It was an accidental one because the champ's that good.
Okay.
So, okay, there it is. You can't just don't eye roll once when I say
it. Okay.
We're challenge accepted. I just think that you need to have her more on television, and these vignettes that we're getting are very old school in a good way. It's not just like, dragging it out for no reason. Like, how many times did you see a Veer is coming?
Oh my god.
And then you just he came and you're like,
ew. How many times did you hear Veer is coming and then he came? I'm sorry. I couldn't pass that one up. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You set that one up. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I did.
I need to stop. I'm like blushing now.
Oh my god, that was.
But awesome. Anyway, yes. No, I think that it is one aspect that they've drifted too far away from, and I do like that they do this a little bit more. And we saw them last week or 2 weeks ago, whatever it was, with like JD McDonough and Apollo Crews. Like, I like those types too. That isn't just like teasing someone coming back, because I feel like that's what we've seen a lot of over the years, even though they've kind of like gotten away from doing these hype reels. I like that we got this because I think that people needed to be reminded that Katana and Kaden were drafted, because people probably already forgot. And then I feel like they are probably going to be bringing back the way. So to reintroduce Candice is a good way to push that forward. I'm all the way at the top. Okay, then we have Cody Rhodes at Night of Champions against Brock Lesnar. So Cody passed out. He fell asleep. He was like,
he went night.
He was like, this match is too easy for me. I'm just gonna go to sleep because I just don't care. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, that was it.
So my main takeaways from this: one, we predicted that ending. I know someone specifically predicted this, and I don't remember who it was in the chat last week, but they literally said, I think Cody's gonna pass out.
I do remember this. Shout out to that peep.
I can't remember. I would have to go back and look at it, but yes, I do remember that. And and we agreed that we thought that this wasn't going to end traditionally, that this wasn't going to be a pin, that this was going to be a disqualification, this was going to be a pass out, this was going to be something where Cody doesn't tap, whatever, just to continue that feud. So my other takeaway though is you can just tell this is such a different Brock Lesnar. Again, we talk about this all the time, and I've talked about it a million times, but this is another match where I was just like, okay, this is not the Brock Lesnar of even just a year ago, because Cody could do whatever he wanted in this match, and Brock was down with it. Brock took how many crossroads? He took Cody cutters. He was doing all sorts of shit. But when he would be in a match with Roman, it was like suplexes. It was F5s. It was, I'll take a spear. I'll take a Superman punch. Like, they weren't doing real like athletic wrestling stuff. It was like, I'm a big dude and I'm gonna throw you around type of match.
Yeah.
Big meaty man slap and meat match. And this was not like that, which I liked, because if you threw Cody to that Brock Lesnar, Cody would have been annihilated. We wouldn't be here sitting here talking about Cody passing out. Cody would have tapped within 10 seconds. You know?
I'd have a different reaction right now. I would
right.
have a different reaction talking about this.
Yeah, so I really liked that. I'm fine with how the match ended. It's exactly what we thought was going to happen, and it just played really well into Cody showing up on Raw. And I was thinking that it must kind of suck to have to sell a fake broken arm. It has to suck.
It does. I could see him being, banged up, obviously, and probably hurt from that. But there's no way Cody Rhodes is in the sling right now. He would not be on television. Okay, so kayfabe is still real.
It's just like, I actually broke my arm before, and I was 5, but I broke it really bad, and I had a cast like with this much. It was like from this much of my fingertips were showing, and it was all the way up to my shoulder, and I was 5. I swear the cast weighed heavier than I did, and it sucked because it was also in the summer. I broke it on Mother's Day. I broke my arm on Mother's Day.
That's a terrible gift to give your mom.
I know, right? Yeah, and it was one of those things where, like, I fell in the backyard. We're getting way out of this way, but I'm just gonna tell you now because we're into it. But it was at my grandparents' house. I was running in the backyard, and I fell over like a picnic bench that was turned sideways, and I slammed my arm on a rock. So I basically broke my funny bone into 16 pieces.
I'm breaking my mentally. Oh my god.
I know. My grandfather's in the gardening, right? And he was like, I didn't really cry. I was just like, like, because he saw me fall. And he was like, just brush it. Yeah, he was like, just brush it off, honey. Like, you're fine, whatever. Meanwhile, I'm walking around and my arm is dangling because it's no longer attached, like the top and bottom. It's like my arm is just like floating.
So nasty.
And I guess my mom saw it from like outside of the upstairs bathroom window. So she came running down because she was like, something's wrong. Like, Sarah's arm is just like floppy.
It's not attached.
Like, yeah, it's jello. So anyway, and then I ended up getting 2 screws in my arm to hold my bones together. They only found 12 of the pieces that broke.
So you just got pieces floating in your body?
A pin popped through my skin. So they had to redo that because when they operated on my arm was very swollen, so they put in big pins. And then when the swelling went down, the pin was popped out of my skin because it was too big. And you know what's even creepier? I have the pins. I have the pins in a test tube. They gave them to us. Is that weird?
As a memento.
I know, but it's like a weird one because it's like...
That's a very weird memento.
Yeah, but I have it. And it's from like 94, 95.
Oh, jeez.
I know. Anyway,
I'm
gonna have to cut all of that out for the clip. But anyway, so Cody gets into gets into the ring, and he talks about how he was determined to win this match with Brock. That's why
the year.
Yeah, that's why. Well, I mean, I feel like that's a thing every single week. It's a weekly thing for Cody. It's like, oh, you thought last week was good? Wait until this week. So, he said that was why he still competed in this match. With a broken arm, even though a bunch of people were like, don't do it, Cody. And he was like, no, I'm going to do it. And so now he said him and Brock are tied in their matchups. They are 1-1. And he challenges Brock and is like, hey, like, do you want to finish this? Because, like, if you feel satisfied, then that's on you. But I'm challenging you to another match. And so he's like, if you don't accept my challenge, then we're going to start saying Brock Lesnar is afraid of Cody Rhodes. I immediately tweeted that. I just was like, Brock Lesnar is afraid of Cody Rhodes. That's all I said. So
put on a t-shirt.
I wouldn't be surprised if they do. It might be something where they try and do that. Like make it a saying, make it a hashtag, something like that. I wouldn't be surprised. So I'm looking forward to this. Obviously, this is going to be something that they're either going to try and have at Money in the Bank, and that's if Cody's not in the Money in the Bank, because a lot of people were wanting him to be in the Money in the Bank match. I'm not for that. I don't want that. I love the idea of him winning the briefcase and cashing it in. But again, he's another guy that doesn't need it. So I don't know.
Would you say it'd be a bad thing if he was in the match, but then have Brock come back at Money in the Bank and ruin his chance?
I wouldn't be opposed to that. It just depends on who he would be preventing from being in the match that could actually be like a qualifier. You know what I mean? Like I think I would have to see who the rest of the qualifiers are, because if he would take the spot of someone that I feel like is more deserving or like would need it more, then I would be kind of like,
All right,
you know,
Ali.
Cody all the way.
All
That's
right,
just because I
that's a
just
good
don't.
baseline though. That's a good
Yeah,
baseline.
it's just because I don't. I'm not like against Ali, but I'm just not for it. You know. So anyway, so we'll have to see how that goes. I don't know what they're gonna do. Obviously, is if you guys don't know, there is no pay per view in June. So the next pay per view is Money in the Bank, which is at the beginning
I
of July.
I wanted to get to this comment because Richard asked it twice, I think.
Okay.
Are y'all burnt out by Cody Brock? I'm not, but I understand why some are. His promos are great, but repetitive. Plus, people want Cody Roman already, but WrestleMania 40 seems like that's what's being planned. Yeah, here's the thing with that. People need to be patient. Okay. Wrestling is one of the few things in life right now that you can't, binge watch on Netflix. You just can't. You have to wait till next week. And even the reports online, it's like, oh, well, what's going on. You really don't. It's them putting out an ad on Twitter or social media saying, here's what's happening this week, stuff like that. So the letting them like wait for WrestleMania for it, because tying it back, I love this Cody Brock thing. Cody is on a different level right now than anyone, and I'm including Roman Reigns. Yeah, I'm including Roman Reigns. Because what Cody's doing is he's bringing that old school wrestler back into this era and just evolving it and changing it for the times. It's still the elaborate entrance with the fireworks, and all he's going to do is just cut a 15-20 minute little segment in the ring. But that's what wrestling is. That's the core of wrestling, and it always will be. You need a guy like that who can do that weekly and build up these feuds and fights with guys like Brock Lesnar. So right now I'm not burnt out at all because of how they're doing it. It's not the same shit every week, even if he is talking talking into a camera, because if you watch back, even not only in attitude era, but the ruthless aggression, the 2000, they all did the same thing. It
Mm-hmm.
just was a different time because social media was not a thing. So he's the last of that old school style that can keep it going. He's just him, and that's the wrestler. And I'm not at all. I love it actually.
Yeah, I'm not bored of it at all because I mean, I've never been a huge Brock Lesnar fan, but I'm entertained by what he's doing right now.
So
Like
good.
because it's it's not new to Brock, because obviously if you've been watching Brock for the last 20 years during his 10 years in WWE, this is very old school Brock too. Like he talked, he wrestled, he did more than just two moves in the ring. And it's been a quite a while since we've seen that side of him, because they were having him be this dominant fixture in the match, and he wasn't doing a whole lot because he was just dominating people and just like annihilating them every single
Crushing
night.
them
So
every time.
yeah, and so this is nice that we're seeing that other side that we know that he's capable of doing, and Cody is elevating him too. Like people hate Brock right now, and it's like that's the beauty of being against Cody too. Is like Cody isn't the only one getting over more. His opponent is as well. But I also think that we need to stop focusing so much on WrestleMania 40, because that's a long time away. We have no
Yeah,
idea what is going to happen between now and then.
no idea.
And I think we also need to give up on the idea of Cody versus Roman. That might not be what it is. Cody might not win the championship with Roman, as much as we want that because of what happened at WrestleMania, and it would feel like the sweetest revenge if he was able to beat Roman. There's so much that's going to be happening for Cody between now and then. There's so much going to go on between the bloodline. Like, don't be shocked if a bloodline member is the one who defeats Roman for the titles. We could see that, and that could be
Saying
well
it
before Mania 40.
for months.
Huh?
Saying it for months. I told Carabas, and he didn't believe me.
What?
I told Carabas that Jey Uso is going to be the one to
Oh,
dethrone
I know, and
Roman
I
Reigns.
told you it was Solo, so we'll see. But
We're still in the same, but he said Cody.
I said Cody.
No, Carabas said Cody.
Oh, yeah. So I don't know. I mean, I understand why people want it, but like the thing is like once we saw how WrestleMania went down and Cody losing, you knew exactly from that moment. I mean, maybe not from that moment, maybe the next day, 24 hours later, 48 hours later, once you were kind of like a little bit over the heartbreak of him losing, you understood what they were doing, and it's more obvious now what they're doing. He can't just like go to the final chapter of this book where he's saying like I'm trying to finish the story. You can't jump to the end and forget everything that comes before that, and so we have to enjoy the ride. Otherwise it's not going to be as satisfying when he finally does get to the championship. Like no one's going to care at that point.
So Micah says, "What up, Sarah? And what up,
what
Patty
up
B?
what up what up
Here for you. What's going on?
Let's get to the comments at the end. How about that?
That's a great thing because there's just so many of them, Sarah, and we thank you, and that's how we're gonna repay it.
Yeah. So we're going to talk a little bit about SmackDown because this is our way of being able to talk about Night of Champions and the SmackDown matches that were there, and then also talk about a preview of SmackDown, I guess. So we have wait, did I wrong one? SmackDown preview. Bianca versus Asuka. So that was a much better match. We're talking about Night of Champions. Much better match than what we saw at Mania. Hands down. It was a great match. You predicted Asuka was going to win. I didn't see it happening, and I was kind of shocked that it happened. But I really do think that it was time because Bianca had a great reign. Obviously, it was historical. She broke like every record for the women. So, applause to her.
The flowers are earned. Earned.
But it was time for a change. And that's why I was saying it either needed to be to take the titles off Bianca or they needed to do something with her character. She needed to turn heel. She needed to do something because something needed to be spiced up because obviously we don't have to worry about how she performs in the ring. She's phenomenal in the ring. There's nothing there. But like when it comes to remaining interesting and keeping people captivated in what you're doing and what you're saying every week, there was no fluctuation with Bianca. It was the same thing every single week. And as great as her matches were, it becomes stale because there's nothing different to look forward to. So I love that she lost her title at this show, and I loved how she lost. And do you think that was the right move to have Asuka win in the way that she did? Because it would be kind of technically cheating.
Because it's technically cheating, that is a little sign that we're getting a heel Asuka. And the main reason why I loved this was because it was the one thing in this story. It was a theme in this feud was this mist. It damaged her the first time when she got sprayed. Mm-hmm. Then she started ducking away from it. Then she really starts ducking away from it and then getting to the point where she's pissed. And then she fights back. But then she can't avoid the mist.
And it's like, wasn't it banned for the match or something? Didn't they say something like that?
I don't know about that, but the way they did it where she blows it on her hands and you think that Bianca's going to continue this reign, wipes it on her or across her face.
Yeah.
It was brilliant. It was perfect heel work. And we don't even because Asuka's so over. Yeah. She's not technically a heel. So like people loved it. And it was a good weird reaction.
Yeah.
Usually you could have people be like, oh, that's how she loses it. Oh, really? Asuka's champ now. And to end that. No, it was exactly how it should have ended.
Well, and I think
with the mist, I mean.
With how they've made Bianca look, she started to look unbeatable. Like they threw a lot of people at her. The only thing that people were hoping to see was Bianca versus Charlotte, which we weren't going to see at this time because Charlotte's gone. So but I wouldn't have been surprised if we didn't even see Charlotte beat Bianca. And then you're kind of like, okay, nobody can beat her. It's kind of like she was becoming the female Roman Reigns almost, which in a better way, but you know what I mean? So I feel like this was what had to happen. This was the only thing that would have made sense or would have pleased the people who, even if they are Bianca fans, they wouldn't have had an issue with this because if Asuka just won clean, it wouldn't feel as believable to people because of just how Bianca's been booked. She's been killing it. She kills everybody. So I think that this is the perfect way for her to have lost and the perfect way to have Asuka start this new heel run, which I am so here for because we stan Asuka. Asuka is queen. Everyone loves Asuka. Everybody loves Asuka.
Everybody loves Asuka.
So then we also have a couple SmackDown qualifying matches that have already been announced, which are Zelina Vega versus Lacey Evans. I would like to believe that it's Zelina Vega because Lacey's been gone, and I'm kind of confused why they even have Lacey in this match. But
totally forgot Lacey Evans was. Is she a free agent or is she SmackDown exclusive?
she might be a free agent. She might be one of them.
We need
I
the
can't
peeps
remember.
here to help us out.
And then we have LA Knight versus Montez Ford. So that one is going to be a banger, but my problem is it's not predictable at all, and I think they're going to screw over LA Knight, and I'm really upset about it. I think Montez. You have
to go. If the LA Knight loses, they're gonna riot.
Oh, because like when I first saw this match advertised, I was like, oh, okay, cool. Because like it made sense to like how last week's SmackDown ended with LA Knight. I mean, you know, he was like talking trash to
Thank you,
the Street Profits. So I was like, oh, okay, yeah, he's gonna have a solo match with one of them. And then I saw that they said it was a qualifying match, and I was like, fuck. Because then I was like, you know, I don't have the faith that they're gonna have him win. I just don't, because it's Montez Ford. If he was going against Angelo Dawkins, automatically it would be LA Knight. But maybe it's Montez Ford.
Maybe that's it. It's a red herring. It's a red herring.
And that's the thing is like, you know, whether or not how much they report online in the dirt sheets and whatever is accurate, who knows? But they have been saying for the last couple weeks that the crowd's reaction to LA Knight is not going unnoticed. The Saudi reaction to LA Knight is not going unnoticed. I mean, they made Triple H stop talking at the press conference on Friday because they were just chanting LA Knight, even though he wasn't even there. You know, like at the press conference, I mean. And at the SmackDown from last week, the double taped SmackDown, when he was talking to the Street Profits, they first of all, when he came out, they filtered in fake boos, first of all, which people were really pissed about because it was like, what are you doing? And I'm like, it's irritating, but like they don't want him to be a face. So they're trying to make him seem like a bad guy. So they filter in fake crowd noise. But then it's funny because then when he's talking to the Street Profits at the end and he's saying it's like LA Knight's game and everyone's going to be saying, or whatever he says, LA Knight. Yeah, you hear the crowd do it with him so friggin' loud. And I was like, they couldn't tune that out. You couldn't put crowd noise over that. So I'm like,
organic.
Obviously, people love the Street Profits, and would it be bad to have Montez Ford in this match? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But like, come on now. You can't keep just like pushing down what the people want. And right now the people want LA Knight.
You can't have Montez Ford and Ricochet in this match.
That's
like it's you got to choose one or the other. That's my reasoning, because if they had both, it's too much of the same. We need to spruce it up. You need to give guys the opportunity, push guys organically like LA Knight is at this point.
You have to. You can't keep just pretending like this isn't happening. And I understand, like,
imagine
you don't.
O2 crowd.
Oh, I know. Like you just can't. You can't pander to every single thing that the fans want. Obviously, that was it. I'm never saying that because someone thought that that's what I was saying. I was like, no, but you can't keep ignoring that overwhelming chanting for LA Knight at random moments, the chants, how loud they react when he comes out. You can't keep pretending that it's not happening. You can't.
There's a difference between not pushing a guy because you think, and then you're like, no, the crowd, it seems like they're into it, but it's just the crowd at the show.
Yeah.
And then there's the diehards where it's not just weekly, it's getting to like a month and a half, 2 months of the same level of reaction.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta go with it.
Yeah.
You gotta go with it. If it doesn't work out, that's on the guy. That's not on you. Well, that's on the guy or girl who doesn't get themselves over after being in, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it reminds me a lot of like Zack Ryder. You know, like they weren't pushing him, but he got himself over, and then it ended up being like they were chanting woo woo woo, and his YouTube show blew up, and then they couldn't ignore it. They let him bring the internet championship onto Raw. They made him United States champion. They had him doing segments that was like the Long Island Iced Z. Like they took advantage of what the crowd wanted, and even if it didn't last very long, it still was like a hot couple months for Zack Ryder that they took
Nice
advantage
payday.
of and made a shit ton of money off it. So yeah,
Did get
we'll
him
see.
thrown off a stage though, so
That is true.
was
And then we have Roman Reigns 1000th day celebration ceremony
Mhm.
will be on SmackDown. So going back to Night of Champions to set this up. So originally when you thought about this, you were like, okay, it's just going to be a normal ceremony for them, for his 1000th day. But what happened, exactly what we predicted was going to happen. And it was kind of a combination of what we said, because we were trying to figure out if it was going to be an accidental mishap or if it was going to be purposeful, and it ended up being both. So and someone else predicted this too, and I don't know who it was. Someone who watched was predicting this too.
State
Remember
your name for
I
the
know.
comment section.
I can't remember, but yes, it was someone else who said that it was going to be they're going to accidentally super kick someone, and it ended up being that. So yes, they super kicked Kevin, they super kicked Sammy, then they try to double super kick Sammy, and it ended up being Solo. Roman comes in, gets hella pissed, and is like, "What the hell are you doing?" Pushes Jimmy's face, and then Jimmy's like, "You know what, brother?" And then just takes him right to the chin with his leg, and then his reaction, amazing. I am loving this focus on Jimmy now. I love that we're seeing Jimmy and that it's not Jay, because first of all, other than the fact that's already happened, I think it's just kind of nice to see the contrast, because throughout all of Jay's thinking, however many months ago, Jimmy was very much like, I'm pro bloodline, I'm pro tribal chief, I'm this, I'm that. So I like that we're seeing the opposite now, because Jimmy was all in on being like F Roman, and Jay was just kind of like, what did you do? And Jimmy said, I did what you should have done a long time ago, and then kicks Roman again.
Again, he kicks him.
And then Roman gets out of the ring. Solo stands up all woozy, takes the pin, and Sammy and KO are still champion. And then you see Roman can't believe what happened. Jay is in shock.
He called him Joe. He's yelling out his real name.
Did he call him Joe? Oh my god!
You can hear in the the camera cuts to a replay, and he's like, Joe, Joe.
Oh my god!
It was. That's what I'm saying. It is the best story of wrestling, hands down.
Roman does not look like a Joe to me, and I feel like that's so weird.
It freaked you. I know he does not look like your average Joe Schmo. But then Heyman, I wanted, because you nail pretty much everything I was going to say about Jimmy. I need to talk about Paul Heyman. Mm-hmm. The wise man might be one of the most interesting people to watch at all times, or at least have an eye on.
Yeah.
During everything.
Yep.
Because you could take the easy route and just, go through the motions, just act, we'll say.
Mm-hmm.
No, Heyman is legitimately living this, and his reactions are so genuine, and he's just like in the back with the hands in the head, and oh my god, it's incredible.
Sometimes I wonder how much he actually knows about what's going to happen, because I know that when Brock beat The Undertaker, he didn't know. So his reaction was genuine, like 100%, like he was legitimately shocked. I know this isn't anywhere near that, obviously.
Oh, but it's a good,
yeah, so I just wonder how much he knows. I mean, just because he's been around for a long time, I assume that he knows. And he's so good at selling his facial expressions and whatever. It's like, it doesn't even matter. But yeah, I loved the ending. I'm so glad that we're getting on this track. So the 1000th ceremony is going to be very interesting, because I assume that all of the bloodline is going to be there. This is my guess. I don't know if they're all going to be there, but my guess was this is a perfect time for them to actually invite like the elders, because when they were trying to have it a couple months ago for Sammy's tribal court, and then it ended up not working because, so many of them couldn't show up. They knew months in advance when Roman's 1000th day was going to be, and then they knew that they were going to keep him on SmackDown. So they knew, okay, if we're going to have a ceremony, we're going to do it on SmackDown. So they could have planned this months in advance and been like, okay, Rikishi, Alpha, Sika, everybody, like, we're going to need you on this SmackDown. They haven't said that they're going to be there. I just assume that they might. I don't know. But I would kind of be intrigued to see Rikishi get involved. in this, especially.
Hey Sarah,
What?
do do you smell
Oh
what
my
the
god,
people's
that's not
champ is
happening. That's
cooking?
not happening. Stop it.
How
That's
do
not
you
happening.
know?
When I'm talking about the blood, like the bloodline, I'm talking about like everyone but The Rock.
He
Because
is the
I know,
bloodline.
but it doesn't. It's not happening. That's not happening on
What do
SmackDown.
it's his show. The Rock created SmackDown.
You really think he's gonna be on SmackDown this week?
There is a chance. I'm not gonna say he is, but
Okay,
there's
I was gonna say
definitely a chance if we're throwing all bloodline members out here.
I just don't think that I don't think The Rock's gonna be there. But what do you think is gonna happen at this ceremony?
Oh,
What do
we're
you think?
gonna it the ceremony might turn into, for Game of Thrones people, like a red wedding type of just anarchy. Some, we might see Roman throw fists with Jay and Jimmy and just screaming match, all that. Or we could see a little bit of the trial of Sami Zayn, but trial for the Usos. And it's like they are approaching their elders because they turned on the tribal chief. That's a punishment. I don't even know what the cost of that is. I have a weird feeling that we're going to see a lot of Samoans on Friday night.
I think that would be the most effective. I mean, not even just for the ceremony, for like the circumstances of what happened at Night of Champions. I feel like it's the perfect opportunity for them to have all of them there. And I feel like it makes it a little bit more interesting than if it was just Roman having to try and deal with the Usos. Because also, if we're going off of what happened at Night of Champions and nobody else is showing up, it's like we're having a ceremony where it's literally Paul, Roman, and Solo. That's kind of a
And the
sad
fans.
ceremony. Well, but I mean, I'm just saying, like, it's kind of a sad ceremony, you know?
What if Triple H is there?
I mean, I don't know, maybe. But what do you
We'll
think is
feel like
next for Jimmy and Jay?
we're gonna see Jimmy develop his character a little bit more. We're gonna see, Jimmy come into his own individual character, like main event Jay did.
Mm-hmm.
He's gonna branch off and be his own. Because that's the
Mid
thing
card
now.
Jimmy. No, I'm just kidding. That's me.
Mid card, but
I'm just kidding.
they need to be the Usos, but their own individual self. That's kind
Mm-hmm.
of where we'll say, wrestling goes with tag teams in a way. If it's basically just not possible for you to break up and, believable that you would turn on one another, then you
Mm-hmm.
got to develop each other into your own, wrestlers. Look at the New Day, for example. The New Day, I think, is the best example of the modern time that you could say. So have Jimmy now feud with Roman like Jay did years ago and give Jimmy his, spotlight a little bit. I
And
just see that being more, because I don't
mm-hmm.
think the bloodline's wrapped up fully.
No,
Maybe until SummerSlam. I think SummerSlam is where we see the culmination of the story.
when Solo turns.
And that's when Solo, and then that's because Solo's that, straw hanging, that hanging on by a thread. It's a Solo thread.
Yeah, I think he's just gonna eventually get sick of, like, he's gonna get tired of what Roman continues to do to his brothers, and he's just gonna feel torn on what he's supposed to do. And then that's why it's like, if Rikishi gets involved, that makes it a little bit more interesting, because Rikishi's then his elder,
Yeah, you
his
said,
tribal chief, you know?
yeah, Richard over here. I
Yeah,
can see
it's
Rikishi showing up in
possible.
Celebration
That's
Defend.
for sure. So I don't know. I'm excited. I'm excited that we're progressing this storyline, and
Could Roman get a Sting face?
no. No. Okay, let's get
That
to
would
some
be
of the
that'd be a hilarious end of the 1,000-day celebration.
let's get to the comments that you feel we
Oh,
should
but
talk about.
entertainment, hold on. Entertainment says Rikishi can show Roman. Oh, we have a little difference in the comment section.
Oh, that would be interesting.
I'm leaning more towards his sons, but that's the easy route.
Can you imagine if he turned on his own children?
We've seen sons turn against their own fathers.
Well, yeah, but
Might be the year against rebelling.
maybe.
Yeah, you go with some comments here. Oh, bless
Oh, you
you.
want me to comments?
Well, I could do it.
Oh.
I just got to see where.
Oh, I'll do this one. Do you see Logan Paul as a qualifier, or will he not be back until SummerSlam? I don't think he'll be a qualifier.
I don't think it'll be a qualifier either.
I think that I don't even know if we'll see him at SummerSlam. But the thing is it's so hard to predict what's going to happen with Logan because he just shows up and gets a match. Like there's never any build up. It's just like, oh, like there's nothing for him right now. Like there's no one that he had a thing with. Other than I guess you could say maybe Ricochet with Royal Rumble, but even then
that's a
that,
reach.
yeah.
That's a
so
reach.
There's really nothing. So it's hard to predict when he could come back.
LA Knight will beat Montez. We all hope here in the art streams. We all hope.
I hope so.
Yeah. Cody needs to beat. No, I disagree with this.
Yeah, I don't. Well, it's probably just based off what we were talking about. But yeah, I don't know that he needs to. I feel like it would be more. I mean, I understand both sides. I feel like as far as dethroning Roman, I think that it would be so satisfying. Like if we're not thinking about anything other than the bloodline, to see a bloodline member do it. I would love for it to be Solo just because of this history of Solo being brought up to specifically help Roman maintain the championship. I feel like I'd be the most excited about that. But I also understand why it would be satisfying to see Cody beat Roman because of their history of, WrestleMania 39 and blah, blah, blah. But I just don't know that needs to be how Cody becomes champion. I don't think that anyone's going to really care how he becomes champion as long as he becomes champion at some point.
Yeah, the story is not Cody Rhodes defeating the bloodline. The story is Cody Rhodes capturing the one championship, actually a heavyweight championship that no one in his family has been able to capture. And obviously the most illustrious out of all of that being the WWE one. It makes sense for him to fall to the bloodline because even a story like that couldn't beat him. Now it's a new day. Yes, it is. So now you can have him not win the Rumble, but get to WrestleMania in other ways. Keep climbing that mountain, the hard fight. It's about the journey, not the destination. All those cliches. That's what we're going here for Cody's story. It has nothing to do with the bloodline. The only satisfying end I will see from them two fighting again, if it is Cody as champion and Roman saying, "You have what's mine, give it back. I am the tribal chief," and then boom, you have their feud. Cody wins.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. I'm trying to look. Yes, we did. We see. Did you notice Maxine is fully integrated into Alpha Academy? Does that mean MMM is just gone, or is that just a feud? I think I don't know that they're gone. I'm sure that they might be trying to figure out what to do with them.
Send them back to NXT.
There's so many injuries in the women's division. I fear that Rhea might not have a good feud until Becky or an injured star come back. Does WWE need to draft more women and sign people like Jordan?
Jordan Grace is a new free agent. I did see that.
I fear that Rhea's not going to have a good reign, and that's something that I think is unfair because it's not her fault. I think it's just the way that the draft turned out, and that's unfortunate. But yeah, they might have they're going to have to do something. They're either going to have to try and do the whole trade angle where they're like, "Oh, we're trading, Natalya for Charlotte or something," like they're going to have to do
Tegan Knox.
Yeah, but I don't know. I'm trying to see. Let's see. Richard also says LA Knight winning Money in the Bank sounds great, but will he be booed if he cashes in on Seth, or if he cashes in, let's say, Drew? Can he realistically beat him if they have a rematch? I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is if he were to get booed, that's the whole point. They want him to get booed. If they're still trying to push him as a heel, then that's. But I mean, that might also be a thing where it's just like two guys that people love going against each other, and then like you just kind of have to pick sides. Like it's the same thing with like AJ Styles versus Seth Rollins. Like neither of them getting booed. But I mean, oh my god, can you imagine LA Knight versus Seth Rollins? I'm like,
that'd be a great feud. All
right, I think that's all the comments for now.
We have talked a lot.
Yes.
And we thank you for tuning into this edition of the Raw Rewind, presented to you by Pits and Sara's Wrestling Show, which is a podcast on Apple and Spotify and all the other podcasts out there. So go check that out and subscribe. Leave that 5-star rating and a comment. Give us some props because some people in there aren't. So be a good peep and give us a nice, good comment. And then to know when all that goes live, we got to tune into the shows here on Sarah's YouTube channel, Sarah Marshall XO on YouTube.
Smarshall X. Yes, yes, yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
Sarah Marshall XO. Not only do we have all of these streams archived, but if you do not have the hour and 25 minutes and 20 seconds, wow, we went long today, but there was a lot to talk about, Sarah. A lot to talk about, and we missed a day with that. So go and subscribe, hit that notification button too to know when we go live, because we will be going live on Thursday and then maybe Saturday this week. Who knows how good SmackDown will be? Maybe we kind of might have to recap that celebration that's going on, Sarah. So that sounds like a plan. And then to know when all of this shit is going down, follow us on Twitter at Pat_Pitts and at SMarshXO, and even Instagram as well at Pitsy35 and at SMarsh_. It's all the time we got. Thank you guys for tuning into this edition of the Raw Rewind. God bless. Remember that you can do it. All you got to do is try. We'll see you next episode.